Okay. Good morning, Sheila. How are you this wonderful hot morning today?
I'm I'm great, Wayne. I say it is wonderful. I The hot part isn't so wonderful for me, but we've had that discussion before. So, how are you today?
It's hot. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yes. And welcome everyone to 27 Minutes with Sheila and Wayne, where we talk about communication skills and verbs as we are attempting to change the world in a positive manner, one verb at a time. And Sheila, let me ask this question because you are so great at reminding me at the end of the show because I've forgotten.
Yes.
Where can they
Yes.
reach us? How can our listeners find us?
Well, good question. I can be reached at zekeandsheila@yahoo.com. How about yourself?
I can be reached at wayne@mindsyncing.com. And my website, www.mindsyncing.com as well. And your website?
Well, it's zekeandsheila.com. There's not much on there, so I'd go straight to the email address.
Okay, that's fine. All right. And Sheila, our verb for today, what is it?
It is to treasure, and this was a request by one of our listeners. So we
Oh,
always value that. And the definition to treasure is to keep carefully a valuable or valued item. And I have a trivia question before we go to your definitions. Is that okay?
that's fine.
Okay. In 1985, one of the world's most valuable buried treasures was found, the valuable treasure hoard. How much was it worth and where was it found? So, really,
Oh,
that's two questions.
okay. Oh, two questions, right? And I have
Yes.
one, so that's going to make it three. All right.
Okay.
And here are my definition, and it's only two.
Okay.
I struggled. I looked far
Yes.
and wide,
Right.
and I could only find two. Here are
Right.
my two.
Okay.
To take great care of something because you love it or consider it very valuable.
Okay.
And the last one, to take good care of something because you value it very highly. And I said,
Okay.
that's the same thing, but
I know,
okay.
just different words.
Just different words.
Okay.
All right. And here's my trivia question.
Great.
Now, remember, I'm sure everyone can remember this story that went around the internet telling about the seven wonders of the world. So I'm going to call them treasures.
Ah.
And I'm going to ask the listening audience, what are your seven treasures in the world? And I will give you the my answer at the end.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
All
Great.
right. Yes. So, Sheila, okay, treasure. What did you think when you heard the verb treasure? What
I
came to mind
thought
immediately?
we would I thought we would find a ton of information about it. And surprise, surprise, there were only a couple ways to approach it, I found. How
Yes.
about you?
Yes. I had the same, and I'm not going to say the same problem, but I had the same challenge
Okay. Great.
because I went to about five different dictionaries
Uh-huh.
and it was pretty sparse, pretty scarce as to the definitions that they had in there. I'm thinking, okay, this word is not as well. It is exciting, but
Yes. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not as readily accessible as a verb as I would have thought it would be.
Yes.
Um,
So,
so
one of the things I found is that most of the references were related to what religion's take on to treasure is. And
yes,
so I researched and found very briefly that most major religions, I mean, all major religions, or excuse me, let me rephrase this. No major holy text today is in favor of unbridled greed, obscene wealth, or nefarious methods of earning money itself. Or earning money. Money itself is not always bad, though. It's how you choose to use it.
okay,
So that was most religions taking on what to treasure.
hmm, all right. And in my research, I found the verb treasure to be a personal and and I'm saying personal, meaning as we all, the generic we,
Okay.
or the universal we, if you will.
Okay.
I found it to be an emotional roller coaster filled with pride, warmth, happy thoughts, and memories.
Ah. Oh, yeah, I like that because I can think of something that I made a list of things I treasure, and I know you're going to talk about yours at the end, but they would fit in those categories. Can you repeat those?
Sure, it was a roller coaster filled with pride, warmth, happy thoughts, and memories.
Great. You know,
Yeah.
one of the projects I'm working on right now is taking little video clips of my mom, and I'm going to
Mm.
put them on a private YouTube channel just for family purposes. And she's talking about memories and family stories and things like that. So I can't wait to get this all put together.
Oh, nice. All right. And as I was doing it, and you said you have a list, and I went down. Well, I make lists,
Yes, you're a good
and
list maker.
typically I make lists for personal and professional, and I separate them.
Yes, yes.
This time I couldn't separate them. So I have personal and professional, and then I have this list of treasures underneath of it. so so my whole portion of the podcast today is just going to be spouting these things that either I
Mm-hmm.
treasure, or things I've heard other people treasure, or
Okay.
and as I'm doing this, I'm going to ask the listening audience, as we're saying these things today, as
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying them, particularly because I don't know what's on Sheila's paper, because
Right.
we're not together.
No, nope.
We do our own separate work. Anyway,
Right.
as we're saying these things, I want our listening audience to think about the things that they treasure as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, it's hard not to when you
I,
talk about this word.
I hope so. I hope that's right. Yes, I think that's right. So, would you like to start, or would you like me to start? I'm easy.
Well, I'll tell you, before we go into that, I want to, because I think I want to talk about one of the challenges we as people have when it comes to treasuring and spending time on the things we treasure. So, this is kind of an introduction because um, the way it has been said that the way we spend our time reflects our true values. And there are three levels of value. One is public, what we say we treasure. One is private, what we think we treasure. And one is the core, which is what we actually treasure, even if we aren't really aware of it. And so,
Hmm.
so do you spend the most time on the things you most treasure? Keep in mind that the average American spends 705 hours per year on social media and 2,737 point hours per year watching television. So,
Wow.
do you spend the most time on the things you say you treasure? That's just food for thought.
Okay.
So, with
Over
that,
2,000 hours of TV watching.
2,700 hours, right?
2,700 hours. Oh my goodness.
Watching television.
Ha. Okay. Well,
I don't know what year that statistic was taken, but I would suspect that the social media time percentage is much higher than that one.
okay.
So, okay.
Oh,
So
all
that
right.
being said,
Yes.
go forward with your list.
Okay, I'm going to start, and this is in no particular order
Okay.
of my life experiences, or where I was when I heard, saw somebody else said something and I witnessed it. This is just as my thoughts were coming to me as I was attempting to do research on this verb.
Yeah.
And I remembered when I was a medic,
Yeah.
and as a medic, I viewed life differently than when I was not a medic. So
Hmm.
growing up, I had thoughts, and then when I became a medic, all of a sudden that turned to wow. And so here's some of the little things that became so important, and the abilities that we have that we take for granted that others only dream of,
Hmm.
such as the ability to walk,
Yeah.
the ability to see.
Hmm.
Those are treasured kinds of things that
Yes.
individuals. I mean, and I'm not saying anything is wrong or bad or abnormal or not
Right.
normal, but how many people that we see in wheelchairs, how many of them do you think would want to walk? I
Hmm.
bet many of them,
Hmm.
and they would treasure to be able to walk. And some of us, oh, I have to walk to the corner. Oh my goodness. Some people think that would be just a joy in life to be able to walk to the
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a medic, I kind of started seeing these things because, you see, I was a surgical technician, and you see people who are hurt, and you're trying to help them and repair them and get them to a state that they want to be in. And you know what? I've seen so many people, too many people in wheelchairs, too many people in crutches, too many people in casts, too many people hurting with, just I it would just be great to have a good working kidney and not have to go into dialysis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, oh, treasure. As you talk about 2,700 hours watching TV, think of, while you're in dialysis. That's not a nice state where you're going to be, oh, I think I'll watch a musical. No,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hard to get a lot of pleasure out of that. Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. And I will go to you. I will go to you because I have just a litany of things here that I want to say, but I'm not going to
Okay.
monopolize today.
Well, I'm not going to go down all the list of things I treasure, but you have reminded me just now that for several years I either worked for or volunteered for hospice care,
Oh,
and invariably what people would treasure were the time spent with family and friends,
oh yes.
and not necessarily time climbing a mountain together, although that's something, but just the being with each other, the holding of hands, the conversations, the heart connection, loving one another. So thank you for that reminder. It was a hard but very beautiful job at the same time. So I want to talk a little bit. This is way off the subject of those kinds of things to treasure. Um, but I read a research project called "Turning Trash into Treasure: The
Mm.
Plastic to Protein Powder Solution." There was is a scientist, Stephen Techtman, who has won some awards and financial rewards because he and his team of engineers, chemists, and biologists have been addressing. Number one, the world's population is growing. And number two, 6.3 billion tons of plastic are created and trashed per year,
Oh my.
some of which deteriorates in 10 years, but much of which doesn't deteriorate for 100 years. I'm going to talk about three kinds of plastic that have been found in the ocean. Um, just picking up trash, a 1977 crate that hasn't deteriorated yet, a 1989 hard hat floating around that hasn't deteriorated yet,
Huh.
a 1995 Nintendo Game Boy cover that hasn't deteriorated yet.
Ooh.
So, what these scientists have successfully done in the lab is feeding plastic to bacteria. And just as when you're brewing beer, there's a yeast byproduct left afterwards.
Hmm.
In this case, the bacteria produce a product, which one might be called a waste product, that is 55% protein. And so they dry it and create a protein powder. So they acknowledge that they have an uphill marketing challenge by talking about plastic into food, but
Yes.
but they're very excited about the possibilities here.
Oh
So
my.
so what might take 10 years to deteriorate or to break down would take a day.
Powder protein.
Right. Right. So they could
Wow.
solve both problems. So, okay. So I always love researching. That's the research on what we treasure
Yeah.
and creating treasure, something we can treasure out of trash. So,
Okay. I
okay.
like that. And that kind of ties into a thought that I have here, and I'm going to just kind of zip down. I'm going to bypass all these others, and I'm going to get to it
Okay.
because this is something that we all have the ability to do, and it's a treasure. It's an absolute treasure to be able to do this,
Uh-huh.
and yet sometimes we let individuals do it for us. And I think, and the research that I was reading says, we need to hone those and keep those close at hand, and that is the treasure to be able to choose.
Mm,
I
mm,
need to make my own choices. I don't need anyone else to make choices for me.
mm-hmm.
And that's a treasure that we all have, that choice. And sometimes we give that away, and that mm, is not good.
I do have a quote, this one by Os Guinness, that kind of touches on that to a degree. And he said, like a precious family heirloom, freedom is not just ours to enjoy, but to treasure, protect, and pass on to future generations. So in this
Absolutely.
case, the freedom of choice you're saying fits into that category.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Now here's a great touchy feely one,
Oh, good.
and I'm sure we can all think of a moment when this happens, but think of that treasure, that hug that only a mother
Mm.
can offer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When you fall down and you scraped your knee, and who the best medicine is that hug from mom.
Yep. It's especially a treasure to me that you talk about that, because my mom just got out of the hospital yesterday after a few days of observation. She
Oh,
is 94, and she's really, really tops there on my list of things and people I treasure.
excellent, excellent. So go get that hug
I'm going to go get and give that hug.
and give. There you see, you were looking on my list because that's one of my treasures is to give.
Oh, let's hear it.
Well, that's coming later. That's coming later.
Oh,
That's all
okay.
right.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
How about you? What else would you like to offer?
Well, I have another quote by George Monbiot.
Yay, we like quotes.
We do. We should seek to love our lives and live fully, but not to extend them indefinitely. We should love our children exuberantly, but not cling to them or curtail their freedoms. And we should treasure the material world without seeking to own it and control it.
Mm, okay. I like that.
Okay.
It
Go
is
on.
so it is so fun doing these. As I say, I learn every time we do
As
something.
do I. Me too. Yeah.
And these verbs, it really they come alive when you and I are talking about them. To me, they come alive. They really
That's
do.
what's so fun about this project.
It it absolutely is. And I treasure every moment that we get to
As
do
do
this.
I, Wayne. As do
Yay.
I.
I see what we did there. That's okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Now, growing up, and I'm bouncing backwards and forwards, and I know that. But here's some thoughts that I had upon growing up, and I
Okay.
think we can all do that. We can all think about these as treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Making the team, and
Mm-hmm.
whether that's going to be, the first seat or the second street of violins in the choir, or sorry, in the chorus, or making the baseball team, the volleyball team, or whatever. But making the team, that's a treasured moment when you hear your name or see your name on that list. Hey, you made it. Yes, that's one of those treasures I remember. I remember getting my first A. Wow.
Congratulations.
That, that was a treasure to me. It really,
Mm-hmm.
and these are, and you talked about the religions, and monetary value was not necessarily the most important thing. These are things that there's no monetary
Oh,
value on these.
priceless.
They're
Yes.
priceless. They
Yep.
absolutely are.
Yep.
How about the high school diploma? How about your college degree? Who
Mm-hmm.
treasures those?
Mm-hmm.
How about winning the race and having mom and dad there to witness it? Those are
Yeah.
treasured times.
Yeah.
They they really are. I just and
It's
and the
making me smile just to recall these. Thank you.
and
Not winning the race. I never did that.
well, and remember, I
Other
did
things.
take dead last once, so that's
That's right. We talked about
I
that.
didn't treasure that at all.
No, but the lesson you've treasured.
No.
No, haven't treasured the lesson either. Okay.
Yes. How about winning the spelling bee? I see on the news now when they have the contestants and they show the replay of them spouting
Mm-hmm.
off the words or
Mm-hmm.
asking the question, oh, can you put that in the form of a sentence, please? And they say whatever it is in the sentence, and then the child spells it, and then they look very inquisitively at the officials and saying, did I get it right? Did I get it right? And they go, ding, you got it right, and you win. And just to see the smile, the joy,
Yeah.
really, really cool. I'm going to go back to the operating room,
Good.
being a surgical technician here, a treasure. When and I was on open heart surgical team at one time.
Mm.
And when we would work on adults, I learned something when I worked on adults and on kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so precious. And I just treasured those times as well.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, when an adult is coming out of anesthesia and things, they say certain things or do certain things, and you say, that's what adults do, and that's what they say. I saw kids coming out from open heart surgery. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, my heart poured out for them
Mm.
anyway. But one of the first things they would ask is, and they wouldn't talk about the pain, but they would ask, is my mom okay?
Uh,
Just How cool is that?
Yeah.
Here they are, major surgery. I mean, life-threatening
Yeah.
surgery, and their first thought is their mom okay?
Wow.
How cool is that? Those are things I treasure.
Those. Okay. So I've got another quote that fits that.
Okay.
And this is Joshua L. Liebman, who said, treasure each other in the recognition that we do not know how long we shall have with each other.
Ooh, yes. Okay. I
See?
like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Yes. And I'm going to tell you, here's my greatest treasures,
Oh, okay.
and this is because I'm blessed,
Mm.
is my wife and my son.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my greatest treasures.
Yep. Yep.
Also, and all over the world, and I do have these all over the world, I treasure my friends, my
Mm-hmm.
colleagues, and my relatives.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Without them, poof, you know what? I'm so blessed. I
Right.
just
Me
am.
too.
I just
Yep.
am.
Yep.
So those are my personal treasures there. God, friends, family, relatives. Love
Mm-hmm.
them. Love them.
So that reminds me of a little bit of research I got, and that is how we talked about time that you spend on things and people that you treasure.
Yes.
This is about the benefits of a gratitude journal. And a gratitude journal would just be a notepad or something where you jot down the things that make you feel thankful.
Mm.
And of course, the people and the scenarios that you've mentioned would be in that gratitude journal. Some people say it's better to do it in the morning. I'm not awake in the morning, even though my body is up. So for me, it would be better to do before sleeping. But it makes you more contented. It makes you more optimistic, and it can help you sleep better.
Okay. I like that.
So and also, just the more you reflect on the things you treasure, the more you have warmth in your heart and a better outlook.
I think that's absolutely true. I totally agree with you. Yes. Sheila, it is 22. So let's jump to the
Okay,
trivia questions if we can.
absolutely.
Okay.
My trivia question was, what was the treasure hoard found in 1985 that is considered to be one of the world's most valuable buried treasure hoards? It was found it's called the Schroda treasure. It was found in Poland. It's a 14th century collection of coins, jewels, precious stones, and a crown worth $120 million.
Wow. Ah,
Yeah. And I don't know if that's 1985, 120 million or 2023, 120 million. But
okay.
and I this is specifically in Europe because I know there have been pyramids and whatnot found in other areas. So
Yes. Yes.
okay, your
Isn't
trivia
that
question.
amazing? That's
It's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My trivia question. Again, remember, and everyone can remember, I'm sure we've seen it, heard it somewhere. It went around the internet. It went around, just
Yes.
things. And how the story went was a teacher was asking her students what the seven wonders of the world were. And I'm thinking wonders are just like treasures. So what are the seven treasures in the world? Um, and the teacher said that she was collecting all the papers because everyone had kind of said, oh, it's these kinds of things, these kinds of things, these kinds of things. And she was collecting everyone's papers. She found that, wow, there was a list that was common. And here's the seven common ones: Egypt's Great Pyramids, the Taj Mahal, the Grand Canyon, the Panama Canal, the Empire State Building, St. Peter's Basilica, and China's Great Wall. And as she was trying to get the last piece of paper from this one little girl who was still thinking and writing, she says, okay, come on, Mary, let me have your paper. And she says, well, I'm having a little trouble because there's so many. And the
Mm.
teacher says, well, tell us what you have and let's see if we can help you. And she said, well, okay. She says, I think the seven greatest treasures are to see,
Mm.
to hear, to touch, to taste, to feel, to laugh, and to love. How cool is that?
That's cool. Wayne, often we've come to ask the question at the end of our show, how can we use the word, in this case to treasure, the verb to treasure, to make the world a more positive place? And
Yes.
I think actually you've just answered that. The more time we spend on the things we treasure, the more of that treasure we have to give spread around.
See, and that's why X says you make us sound good. Because you always come up with those things that just put chills up and down my
Oh,
spine here and my
oh,
arms. That's I
thank you.
was I was what are those my hair muscles were pulling up all the hairs, all the goosebumps were going up and down, they were flowing. Any
Nice.
Do you have any other treasures that you would like to say before we say adieu?
Oh, just I think one of the things I treasure too is laughing with my husband,
Okay,
going through life laughing with each
isn't
other.
that
So
cool?
that's cool. That's one of my favorite parts of marriage.
E- Excellent. Yes, yes. And just that look. You can just oh, okay. And I just said something. Here's here's the thing that I treasured.
Okay.
Um, I'm not going to tell you who the person is, and I'm not going to tell you why they did it. I know why they did it, and they know why they did it, but I don't have to name drop.
Okay.
Anyway, there was this prominent gentleman who had been in the news forever. Um, and he was at a function that I happened to be attending as well. And have you ever noticed when you see somebody go and you have that look in your face, oh, I know that person. Why do I know that person? Have you
Mm-hmm.
had that feeling? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I was getting closer to him, he looked up because he was shaking hands. It was almost like one of those formal, lines that you go through and you shake people's hands, say good, hello, hello, I'm so and so. As we were going through that line, um, he kind of looked up and saw me, and he gave me that look, like, who? I I know you. Why do I know you? And I kind of first said, no, that's not what he's looking at me, and that's not what he's doing. And the stare stayed for about 7 or 8 seconds, and
Mm-hmm.
I said, it is. He does remember who I am, or at least he does remember something about my face. And it really solidified when he went back to shaking hands, and then he kind of gave me another glancing look, like, wait, I hope you're coming down this way because I need to know who you are. I chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Just the look and the recognition
Mm-hmm.
was I cherished that
Mm.
I will cherish that forever, because this
Mm.
guy didn't know me from Adam, and he's one that all of us looked up to, and I thought, I'm good.
Ah,
so
neat.
so anyway,
Neat.
that's my last one. How about you? Anything else before we say take it
Well,
away?
no, we just want to thank everybody for listening. We thank this particular listener for the word to treasure.
Absolutely.
We love it when people suggest words that we work on, that we present to you in the podcast. And have a lovely week until next week.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Wayne.
Sheila.
Bye.
I'm I'm looking for I can't find my mouse.
Uh oh. Here,
It's like
use mine.
okay, there